Hello and welcome to Renew, the show by the College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University. The College of Forest Resources promotes and enables the conservation, management, and wise use of our natural resources. I'm your host, Leslie Berger. Today's show will feature the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts, one of the 3 units within the College of Forest Resources, and here to represent that department is Assistant Professor Frank Owens. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're able to come. I did a little bit of snooping on the internet about you because in a different department we don't have a chance to interact. And I saw that you teach a class called Wood Anatomy.
Yes.
As a biologist, that's very interesting to me when many people don't think that wood has anatomy. Mm-hmm. And when you read the description, it talks about the elements of botanical micro-techniques and fundamental properties of wood leading to their identification. Yes. So tell me about this class and the work that you do in this arena.
Okay. Well, in the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts, we teach 4 fundamental wood science courses. We teach a course in wood chemistry, one in wood mechanics, one in wood physics, and then the course I teach, which is wood anatomy. And in the wood anatomy course, we teach the students how to recognize and identify the different cell and tissue types that you might see in wood. That portion of the course usually takes about 4 weeks. So once the students have a good foundation in wood anatomy, then the next 11 weeks, we spend applying that knowledge to do something called wood species identification. Mm-hmm. So if you take a piece of wood like this and you look at the end grain here, there's lots of information here. This is kind of like looking at a fingerprint. Sure. So you can see the patterns that the cells and the tissues make. And those patterns are more or less unique to the genus or species that you're looking at. Mm-hmm. So you can use this to actually identify wood species. And this is really an important job skill for anybody that's in the forest products industry, but especially for folks that are importing wood from abroad. Because embarrassing as it is, a lot of wood comes into the United States that is not properly identified. It's misidentified, either accidentally or on purpose. Mm-hmm. And if you have a good foundation in wood anatomy, you're able to look at this and you have the tools to be able to do that type of identification. Sure. I can show you, if you'd like, an example of what a human would do to this, and then I want to talk a little bit about a little piece of technology I brought with us today.
Okay, good.
So maybe we could put our first image up. So this is what wood looks like magnified with a magnifying glass, and that's magnified at about a 10x. So you can see there's a lot going on here. There are all kinds of holes that you can see, and those are called pores. And those pores are in different sizes and different shapes and different patterns. Mm-hmm. You can also see those light colored vertical lines. Those are called rays. And so my students learn to look at all of those features in combination and narrow it down to a specific species or species group.
Because each one of those species groups has their own pattern.
Exactly. And so that particular species that we just looked at was a red oak species. So that's how a human would go ahead and do this identification. Some folks at the Forest Products Research Laboratory, the USD Forest Products Laboratory in Madison, Wisconsin, actually taught a computer to be able to do this type of wood identification. Sure. They created a device called the Xylitron. And this, I brought an example with me here. The Xylitron has 2 parts. This is the brain that runs off a laptop computer. It's got software in there that was developed by Dr. Alex Wiedenoft and Dr. Prabhu Ravindran. They both work at the Center for Wood Anatomy Research in Madison, Wisconsin. And this part here is called the xyloscope. And this is what the computer uses to look at the end grain, just as we did here on the screen. And inside this metal housing, there are 3 components. This is the hole out which the computer looks, and there are 4 LED lights inside there. And then this component has 2 parts. This is a USB camera that hooks here to the computer, and then this part is a lens. So this is kind of like a microscope.
Sure.
And when someone uses the Xylitron, if we can look at the next image, all they do is they put the Xylitron on the end grain, and it illuminates the surface. And then if we could look at the next picture, it goes ahead and it takes a picture of that.
Sure.
And the image quality is pretty decent. Then they push a button and the computer does some thinking, it does some math, and then it comes up with its best guess for what the species is. And I actually brought a video to show how this works.
Good, I'm glad you brought that.
If we could bring that up. Okay, so again, you would take the xylitron and you would put that on the cross section of the piece of wood, and you can see it auto focuses there. And then we want to straighten it out a little bit so that those rays, those vertical lines run north and south. We push a button, it captures the image, and then it does some analysis. And it comes back and tells us that it's red oak, and that's in fact what that species is. Now we can do this with other species. We loaded it up with a similar species called white oak to see if we could tell the difference. And again, we do the same thing. We put it on the cross section. We take a picture, and the xylitron takes a moment to think. And it gives its best guess as white oak. So it's pretty accurate. It takes us about 15 weeks to be able to teach the students to do basic wood identification. This thing you can see is pretty instant.
It is, and it's very much like a pattern recognition that you see on television and crime scenes where they're comparing
Kind of like that.
fingerprints
Yes.
or facial patterns to be able to
Yes.
identify what's going on there. It is really interesting to see how the technology is interfacing with sustainability, really, because you can see where people might be marketing things that aren't oak as something like that and be harvesting something that they shouldn't be harvesting.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing a little bit about what you do in the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts. We're going to take a break, and we'll be returning shortly with a graduate student from that unit.
Want a career as big as the outdoors? Want to have an impact on the environment? The College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University delivers hands-on training, ensuring clean air and water, wildlife habitats, and a sustainable environment. Creating new wood products and retooling old ones for today and tomorrow. Find a career in whatever path you choose. Majors in forestry, natural resource and environmental conservation, sustainable bioproducts, wildlife, fisheries, and aquaculture. Want a career as big as the outdoors? Choose the College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University.
Discovery. It tells our history and determines our future. At Mississippi State University, we're digging deep, unlocking an understanding of our past, validating it. Middle East exploration by faculty and students is uncovering evidence that unravels ancient mysteries. Scholars have long thought of the biblical kings David and Solomon as mythological figures. Our research offers evidence that supports their existence, boosting MSU into an international league of experts on archaeology. Now we're changing the way people think about the past, opening up new possibilities of understanding for future generations. Digging deeper, learning more.
Hi, and welcome back to Renew, the show about the College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University. Today we're learning a little bit more about the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts, and joining me now is graduate student Guang Mei Anderson.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad that you're able to come. Tell me a little bit about the research that you are doing as a graduate student in the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts.
Yeah, sure. So my research is related to fit statistical distributions to the mechanical properties of the lumber. Let's see, we know we build houses with lumber and how reliable they are, and we want to know their stiffness and strength. So we usually use the MOE, which is modulus of elasticity, to indicate the stiffness, and MOR, modulus of rupture, to indicate the strength.
Sure. Well, and I can see where it's really important to understand both those points. If you're trying to build something that's supposed to be stiff, you don't want it to be very elastic, and you certainly don't want it to rupture. So being able to predict when that might be able to happen would be really important for the timber industry. How did you come to be interested in this topic?
I'm from China. So when I was little, my dad actually had a little hardwood plantation. It wasn't like the biggest method we make a living, but it did give me an opportunity to actually go to the woods and see all the trees. So after I graduated from high school, so I enrolled for a local agriculture university in my province. So my major was wood science and engineering. Then when I was a junior, we had our department recruit a new faculty who was graduated from Mississippi State.
How unusual.
Yeah, so he kind of introduced me to, there's a Mississippi State in this world is in United States, and after I graduated from my bachelor's, I thought it would be very nice to go study in the U.S. and go to Mississippi State University. That's how I came here.
That is really amazing. And I have so much respect for international students when I think about what is entailed with leaving your home and leaving your culture. And from the Chinese perspective, you don't even use the same letters. I mean, nothing about that connection is the same or familiar. So I think I mentioned on a previous show, my youngest son is in Ireland working on his master's degree. But in Ireland, they speak English. So, and the language is the same. So it's not as big of a transition. But for you to come to another country that is so very different, just takes a lot of courage, and I applaud you for that effort.
Thank you.
So where do you see yourself going? We just have about a minute left. So who do you want to be when you grow up?
I guess I can see myself in the industry or in the research lab, keep doing the kind of research what I'm doing. But I also kind of got inspired by my professor. He graduated from here and go to another university, introduce the students to Mississippi State. I'm open for that future too.
Well, we'd love to have you as an ambassador, and thank you for coming in and joining us here on Renew. And I thank the rest of you for stopping your day and to come by this show and to learn a little bit more about the College of Forest resources and the opportunities that are available to you. Not here in Mississippi, but as we learned in China and across the world. So I hope you've learned a little bit more about the university, and I encourage you to reach out to the faculty that you've seen today or to me if you have any questions about what's going on in the College of Forest Resources. Until we have a chance to meet again, I encourage you to get outside like you did and learn a little bit more about the natural resources that are around us. I've been your host, Leslie Berger.